The first thing you do before you do anything else is pick classes. So I figured let's just start with classes. The game has 9 classes. I'll read them now. The Landsknecht, the Protector, the Alchemist, Medic, Survivalist, Troubadour, Hexer, Troubadour, Hexer, Ronin, and Dark Hunter. Those are the 9 that you get. If you're playing on Untold and you're playing the story, you're granted the Highlander and the Gunner, who once you beat it, I guess you get them in New Game Plus if you're a glutton for punishment. Each of these obviously represents a different strategy. You can have 5 total in your party. All right, let's...
You can also make up to 30.
Yeah. Let's go nuts. Each of them has their own skill tree. You went with the recommended party, right?
Not initially. So the only difference was that instead of a Landsknecht, well, let me just list it out. So my original party was a Protector, Survivalist, Medic, Alchemist, and Dark Hunter. Ronin and Hexer in the DS version are locked until you get to the 3rd and 4th stratums.
Okay.
So I only had 7 options. My weak link was my Dark Hunter. I figured, I'll make a Protector and just get them to hit my Protector by using Provoke. And that didn't work. We could talk about that with the skills. So I actually had to make a second tank for the front line. And so I made a Landsknecht and I just started bumping up the skills. I started grinding, getting the skills on him for max HP and max defense. And then that saved me. What was your team?
Oh boy. I'm going to put it out there that these classes are not my favorite throughout the series. I like the Protector. I used Provoke and I didn't have as much issues. It didn't always work, but I feel like more times than not they attacked him. I mean, AoEs are just AoEs, so whatever. But I used the Alchemist, the Medic. I used the Survivalist. I wish that I didn't. I just never got the damage output I was looking for. I thought the Survivalist to me was pretty flawed because part of the biggest skill tree that they had in there was for dodging, using agility. But they work best in the back line. So they had one move that raised people's chance of hitting him, but it also raised
cloaked.
Yeah, raised his evasion. But I have them as a back line shooting a bow and arrow.
Anyway, so they're not going to get hit, yeah.
I also have a Protector that's using Provoke. So half of their abilities were completely worthless to me.
I had a different experience with my Survivalist because I maxed out. So I did a couple into True Shot and then maxed out TP, which is, I guess, magic power. I don't know what the T is short for, though. Technical points, I think.
Yeah, I would guess.
And I maxed out multi-shot, and I got my only legendary item that I purchased from the shop was a bow that I constructed out of an Icicle Fang from the Stratum 3 boss.
Mm-hmm.
It's like 100,000 money. I don't even know the currency. Item, and I was using multi-shot. I was doing 1,500 damage total every time I used multi-shot. And on the end game boss.
Wow. Yeah, I didn't get
that was
anything like that.
Because he was on the back line too. I didn't even have to worry about him really getting hit.
Because I maxed multi-shot too, and I was doing... This might be a balancing issue that's different within the two, because my multi-shot end game did 200 to hit. So 400 total.
Mine was 500 a hit. That's how I got to 1,500. But I also had the legendary weapon. I don't know if you had that.
No, but I would assume from Dungeon 3, it would fall off a little bit.
Oh, because it's even in the late game, if you're just getting standard items, your weapons and armor are not costing more than 10, 20K. This thing costs 100K for a reason.
Mm. Well, and also my multi-shot only did 2 hits. It did not do
Really? Because
3.
my max out one always did 3 hits.
Mine was just 2. That must be a
Damn.
balancing thing that makes that class worthless in the new one.
Damn.
Yeah,
Pro survivalist tip.
I was very disappointed. I would have switched him for a hexer, honestly, if I could. Because like if I'm not gonna get damage, I'll just do the thing that gives me defense and offense.
Honestly, I would have done a hexer if I didn't get them on Stratum 4.
Right. Yeah.
At that point, it's just like, what am I going to do? Raise them 30 levels from level 1 when my rest of my team is level 30? Forget it. Ronin, I tried. I tried swapping out a Ronin for... I didn't even know how to logically do that because my Lance Neck was awesome. I did... I had him as a tank, so max HP defense. But then I also was doing sword skills. You could do swords or axes. I thought initially, like, oh... maybe I should have done axes because every axe you get is like twice as powerful as swords. But actually, there are some really good sword skills that follow up magic. So if you have an alchemist, and I had a fire using alchemist, I would use Blazer, and I would also use Inferno, and Inferno would hit every enemy on the screen, and then Blazer would follow it up with like a fire-based sword attack. And so like there were like these armor things, like I don't know if you remember them, these little armadillos.
Mm-hmm.
In the late game, and they would like have like super high defense, regular attacks wouldn't do anything. I'd do Inferno, I'd do Blazer, and it would just knock all of them out. And I'd have preemptive attacks for my survivalist because I had max preemptive attacks.
Yep. With the Ronin, I was a little disappointed with that one too. I don't like playing with stances. That's like a thing with a lot of games. And
so that's a turn.
Yeah, exactly. Like I don't want to waste a turn. I'm not that strategic in my brain. I just like seeing the numbers, and that was not what I wanted. And that's my fault because it's not like they hid that. Like it was clearly on there that there's stances, and I was like, maybe when I play it, it'll make sense and I'll like it because I wanted a strong physical attacker up front, and it just never clicked. I ended up maxing out everything other than the stances, which worked for a while. Like he just became a really hard hitting, high crit character, and in a way, it works at the end. I max out the skill where you can use a stance skill without switching to the stance. So I maxed that out, and then one of the stance skills, like a horse slash, I think, and that it basically just became a rotation of that, and then horse, and then that, and then horse, and then that. It just that was the character. I just felt it was kind of
risky one though, because he's weak as shit.
Yeah.
You can't max out defense. You can max out HP, but like that's really not that great.
No.
And he has to be on the front lines.
Yep. So I was pretty disappointed with the Ronin. Oh yeah, he was a popular choice. They like to hit him. I'm sure.
Oh man.
But that's how I know that provoke worked for me, at least a decent amount.
Yeah.
Not enough, but a decent amount. But yeah, he would die from AoEs sometimes. Like I had to really pump like Defender, and then we'll get into it more, but I had some Hexer abilities. So I had to pump those just to keep him alive to pass some of those turns, because Jesus. So I was disappointed in the Ronin. I probably would have switched over to the Lance Neck in a future play. And I may try, if I were to do this again, which I won't, because there's other Etrian Odysseys to play, I would go with the Gunner instead of the Survivalist and see if that was more fun. So I guess
story mode.
I guess in the way I would have to play the story mode, which I would. I think I would play the story mode just to try it. I can't imagine I would love it because I don't like the stories in a lot of these kinds of games. That's obviously a jaded thing to say, but it just is the truth. But I would try the Gunner. I'd be curious how that plays out.
I think that if you're playing classic mode, you need 2 tanks for those front lines. Like I think it's just too much of a risk to have a Ronin up there, or even your survivalist. My survivalist actually had my highest HP by the end game, but I would definitely like. I don't know if you could do this without having a protector and or a Landsknecht or two of each. That's the cool thing is you could actually do multiple classes of like the same class and
Mm-hmm.
build them different ways. I could
That's a good
have an
point.
axe wielding Landsknecht and a sword wielding Landsknecht. I might do two Landsknechts next time. I don't even think I need a protector. They're if provoke's not going to work, then like what's the point? I could, if I was going to do a protector again, I would build the elemental defense, which I couldn't figure out because like you had to like merge skills and you had to get 5 investments into like TP and like shields or something. I don't know. Look at a walkthrough, but I think I would do two Landsknechts for the front line and then have my survivalist, medic, and alchemist. I think alchemist is important there. Um, I do. Do you think you could play this without a medic?
No. This game would be literally, like, especially like endgame. I'm just clicking the salve button three
Oh,
out
two.
of 3 out of 4 turns. Yeah, it's just like this is your job now. This is your life.
Yeah, even if we're at max HP, he's
Yeah.
gonna hit.
Yeah.
So you better heal me.
yeah. That's your role. Like I don't know how it's even possible to play this with that. I guess technically the protector has an AoE heal, and the Ronin has a heal. Why would you use
Self
it?
heal or something. Yeah.
Like, what's the point of using a Ronin if you're just gonna heal? The protector makes a little more sense because you have some downtime, but no, without the medic, I don't see how you play this game. That seems impossible.
How about that alchemist? You did fire too, right?
Yes. Specialize in fire. I liked it. I again with almost all of these, I like how they handle it better in the future editions. I think they just play a little smarter and give you more options in the skill trees that are better suited. But the alchemist was your standard mage, right? You can do a fire, ice, lightning, and then
Poison too.
what's that?
I didn't use it. You could do poison too.
Oh, I must have completely missed that because I wouldn't have done it. But
I didn't invest in it, but I saw you could do it.
now I'm thinking about it, though, poison is pretty hard hitting in this game. I wonder how well that would do against bosses. That might actually be kind of cool, but I wouldn't have thought of that.
It's a question mark to me if that even works on bosses. So like I'm always nervous about that.
Yeah.
So I just went with fire and like maxed out flame and inferno, and then I had extra TP. I was like, I'm not gonna put it in volt. I mean, that was my second attack choice. Also, I maxed out TP regen because TP flies in this game.
Yeah.
So it was just nice to get it back every turn.
Oh yeah, I'm fucking pissed about the alchemist too. You made me forget about it, no, I forgot about it. You made me remember it. I maxed out a move called analysis, and it was if you can find the enemy's weakness, it makes the damage go way up and it reduces their defense, so the rest of your team will hit harder too.
Okay.
Great skill, great idea. Here's the problem. Not all enemies have weaknesses, and a lot of bosses don't have weaknesses. They have just general, like, they're not strong against things, but like the final boss did not have a weakness. So at least that my magic could find. So that skill was completely useless for a lot of those fights.
Man. That sucks.
There's nothing like going down a skill tree, because this game it takes a while to max something out. It takes dedication, only to find that it's useless. So that was disappointing. I just felt like with the alchemist and with a lot of them, there weren't that many skills that were worth maxing out, like in the long term. Some of them you'd like, oh, that would be useful in this very specific scenario. But a lot of times when I'm playing these games, and this mindset might be flawed, but when I'm playing an RPG, a lot of times when I try to dedicate to customization, I'm thinking, how will this help me against the final boss? Or if the game suits it, how does this help me against like tough mobs of enemies? Those are like the two things that I think about the most. And a lot of the skills don't suit that.
for me, it was actually more about the skills that would benefit me in terms of the adventure and the mapping. So like I honestly I didn't max out Stalker, but I put a couple into it on my Protector because Protector doesn't really need much anyway. And I did like at some point I just want to be able to get through the dungeon and just, move to the next floor because then I'm fighting enemies that are going to get me more XP and I'm just going to move faster. And also with the TP regen, I was like, oh yeah, like that'll help me to like get mana back so I can keep going and really just annihilate these like standard enemies and also FOEs on screen. The issue with TP regen is if you're going through like just the standard adventure, you're knocking out standard enemies in one turn, so you're actually not regenerating any magic power. And so you'd be out like after 10 battles of using Inferno. And so like that was just brutal.
Yeah, sometimes to use that skill, you have to manipulate the game, which feels cheesy and lame. But it's like you could theoretically reduce a mob to one enemy, and then just like shield up. But it's like it doesn't feel good to do that, and it's boring, and I can sense it. And again, I think a lot of these things get resolved later in the series. Like you'll have characters that they'll be like, once you win a battle, you'll revive. And I think one of the skills even in this game had that, but I don't think I got to the point where it was maxed.
I didn't use it. It was the medic. It was like restore a little bit of HP afterwards. And I was like, why would I do that on my medic?
Yeah, exactly.
I would want that for my other characters, but
some of them have like every step or something.
I did a skill on my medic that was useless. It was like restore up to 25% of your team's HP. If you put one into that, I put one into that. So I tried it once, and it literally restored like 5 HP total to like every character when I used the skill. It was a waste. Don't use that. There are some busts, and there's nothing more disappointing than leveling up your characters, investing into a skill, and finding out that skill is useless. And if you do that max, like for your case, I don't even think I had analysis as an option in mind. But it makes you question whether or not you should even replace the character at that point.
Yeah, I went through that because it's like this character's fucked.
And at some points, it may actually be worth it to do that. Like at level 20, my Hexer just kept dying, or not Hexer, my Dark Hunter kept dying. And so I was just like, well, screw it, and I got a Lance Connect up to like one level behind everybody else. And then he ended up being my highest level character by the end of the game because he survived all the battles.
Wow.
So some of those quests were like, take down one, like a FOE with one party member. And he was my guy.
That's good. I highly recommend if you're listening and you're not sure, pick the Lance Connect. That is the way to go, for sure. Maybe just all of them. Just pick 5 of them and stroll through the game. I don't know. That seems like a useful class.
But I don't think they can attack from the back as well. You need a medic, so 4 Lance Connects and a medic. Yeah. You're good.
Just salving it. Oh man, there's a lot to talk about with the classes, and granted, we didn't even play certain ones.
Troubadour. Yeah, right.
You know what? That's a buffer class. I would
question mark.
I would pick that because I got some pretty badass items that clearly only they could use, like the musician stuff. There were instruments in there that one of them, I think it was endgame, but if you equipped it, it boosted your TP by 100. It's just like, God damn. But I don't know what their skills are, so I couldn't tell you if it's good or bad, but it just seems like a lot.
I think they had some healing stuff, too. Love that they get Ocarina. They're the only character that can equip an Ocarina. I didn't want to make one. I wanted my... I'm more of a straightforward kind of player, I guess. Usually I do like buff moves, but I don't know if I like a character that's only meant for buffing. But I would try it.
I would have traded my survivalist for that in a heartbeat. But that's only.
I need my Poké.
That's only post game knowledge. In general, yeah, I'm pretty standard when it comes to this stuff. I'd go with the tried and true. I go with the World of Warcraft 5-man lineup that I know would work. I need my tank, my healer, and then different forms of DPS. That's how I look at it.
Did you? This is just a quick question. Did you like have a naming convention, or like a decision, like what character model you picked?
No, the only one I had a naming convention because I have names for pretty much everything for 4 characters, and then the fifth one is always a toss up on, like, usually it refers to whatever the class is, and that was the survivalist. So I just called it Slaya. But that was it. Did you?
Yeah. Yeah, well, I let my girlfriend pick half of them, and then I was going off of what she was picking. So my protector was quinoa, and my lance knight was tomato, and my survivalist was polka. My alchemist was lotus. My medic was Texas.
Why
Same.
Texas?
No, I was just getting Texas vibes. Like, the coat going back and like the glasses and like I don't know, you seem
Whoa.
pretty cool. So I'm gonna call him Texas.
He's a cool guy.
So every medic from now on will be Texas. Or a different state. I don't know. We'll get Flo Rida.
Flow Ride. Oh my god. Anyway, that would be a way off subject, but I have a Flow Rida story that's pretty out there. Um. Anyway, I would look very white.